Hi everyone, my name is Muhammad Adil Chananta. Today I want to review a film. Title is Only Murders in a Building. Only Murders in a Building, a podcast parody that shoots to kill. Hulu's charming new comedy puts true crime podcast obsessives played by Selena Gomez, Steve Martin, and Martin Short at the center of an amateur investigation. We should do our own podcast. Oliver Martin Short suggests to Charles Stephen Martin and Mabel Selena Gomez. I'm sure that every true crime podcaster wishes he was on the cast from the start. The central characters of Hulu's wonderful new comedy, Only Murders in the Building. These three will know all about that. They are neighbors in an expensive Manhattan apartment complex who've never had much to say to one another until discovering two things in rapid succession. One, that they are all hooked and hooked on the same true crime podcast, the serial as All Is Not Okay in Oklahoma, whose host is played by Tina Fey, and two, that the death of a fellow neighbor may not be the suicide cops have written it off to be. So the trio decide to combine their creative skills. Creative skills. Oliver is an unemployable theater director. Charles, the has-been star of a 90s cop show called Brazos, and Mabel, an artist looking for purpose while she renovates her aunt's apartment, with their love of the genre to become amateur sleuths and perhaps viral superstar. The premise of Only Murders is allegedly addictively simple. If creators Steve Martin and John Hoffman were content just to play it for love, making fun of a true crime podcast, and the people who obsess over them, it will already be one of this year's greatest TV delights. Between the podcast's specific comedy and exasperated cop played by a divine Joy Randolph respond to their questions by asking, "God damn it, what what f- what f podcasts are you all hooked on?" The insults hurled between Charles and Oliver. Oliver compares Charles' podcast narration to a Ken Burns documentary on the history of boredom. The generations gap separating those two from Mabel, Oliver to Charles. Rando is a slang for a person of no significance, significance, and some extremely New York specific jokes. Charles is incredulous that Oliver pays to park in their building. It runs the gamut of high and low comedy. Sometimes it is keenly self-aware, and others blessedly silly, like a running gag about how cheapskate Oliver subsists almost entirely on dips and sauces. And it's been more than a decade since Martin had a live action script produced, and that was the Pink Panther 2. This is also the first TV shows he's created since way back in 1984, with Domestic Life, a short-lived CBS family sitcom with Martin Mull, and his first regular TV role of any kind since he was an ensemble player for a season, the Sonny and Cher comedy hour in the early 70s. His host SNL so often we may think of him as more of a TV guy than he actually is. But this is a real rarity in front of and behind the camera. But the series soon turns out to be like The Princess Bride, Galaxy Quest, or Jane the Virgin. That rare and wonderful thing, the parody that also offers a great example of the genuine article. Only Murders generates a lot of love out of just how inept Oliver and company are at crossing the fan-creator divide. Warning: if you are one of the billions of podcasters currently walking planet Earth, some of their specific bumbling in this area will give you hives. Just remember that they are supposed to be bad at it. But over the course of the 8 episodes out of 10, given the critics only Murders manage to take the mystery itself seriously, as well as the lonely inner lives of these three unlikely sleuths, in a way that enhances the comedy rather than undercutting it. The plot is satisfyingly twisty and engaging, and our heroes all feel wholly three-dimensional in short order. Charles' non-stop quoting of Brazos dialogue works as both a running gag and mark of how empty his life has been since the show got cancelled. Gomez has only acted occasionally since she graduated from Wizard of Waverly Place to pop superstardom, but her comic deadpan feels sharpened to a knife's edge, and she's an effective emotional fulcrum for the story. Even short, amusingly over-the-top moments feel very true to the persona Oliver has crafted for himself, in part to conceal what a disappointment he's turned out to be. The stars are flanked by a murderous row of supporting and guest actors, including Amy Ryan as Charles' potential love interest Jan, Nathan Lane as Oliver's longtime benefactor Teddy, and Sting as himself, and a potential suspect. There's also a remarkable episode led in a turn told from the point of view of Teddy's Diff Songtail, played by James Cavalier, that managed to keep the story moving briskly without audible dialogue, and to generate humor from the device without in any way diminishing Theo as a character. At one point, Oliver praises Mabel as a weird in the way all your favorite people are weird. Prepare for this to become your new favorite weirdos, and only murders to become your new addiction. Even if you can't, just listen to it while you're out on a run. I think that's it for me about my review, a review of the movie of Only Murders in a Building.